Why USA could shock the world in 2026. The FIFA World Cup is coming home to America. And this time, the United States isn't just hosting the tournament. They might actually become one of its biggest surprises. For decades, world football fans laughed at American soccer. Europe and South America dominated the sport while the US remained an outsider. The country had athletes, money, and massive stadiums, but not football culture. But something has changed, and by 2026, the United States men's national team could become one of the most dangerous teams in the tournament. Not necessarily favorites, but definitely dangerous, because this generation of American players is different from anything the country has ever produced before. The biggest reason? Talent. For the first time in history, the U.S. has multiple players competing at high levels in Europe. Christian Pulisic is playing some of the best football of his career. He's faster, more confident, and far more experienced now than he was during the last World Cup. Weston McKennie brings aggression, leadership, and intensity in midfield. Tyler Adams gives the team defensive balance and tactical discipline. And then there's Gio Reyna, possibly the most technically gifted American attacker in years. These players are no longer afraid of elite competition. Why? Because they face it every single week in Europe. That matters. Old American teams often entered World Cups hoping to survive against football giants. But this generation believes it belongs on the same field as anyone. That confidence changes everything. Another massive advantage for the United States is simple: the World Cup is being played at home. Home advantage in football is real. The crowd energy feels different. The pressure becomes motivation. Momentum grows faster. And in 2026, American stadiums will be absolutely packed. The U.S. sports culture already knows how to create huge events. The Super Bowl, NBA Finals, and World Series prove that. Now imagine that energy combined with the World Cup. The atmosphere could become unbelievable. And for American players, this tournament will mean more than football. It will feel like a chance to change how the world sees soccer in America forever. There's also another reason the U.S. could shock teams in 2026. Athleticism. The United States has always produced elite athletes. In the past, many of them chose basketball, football, or baseball instead of soccer. But now, more young athletes are choosing football earlier than ever before. That's creating a new type of American player: fast, aggressive, powerful, and technically improved. Modern international football rewards speed and pressing, and the U.S. can become extremely dangerous in transition. Against slower teams, America could punish mistakes quickly. One counterattack, one fast break, one moment of chaos. That's all it takes in a World Cup knockout match. But perhaps the biggest difference is mentality. This generation grew up watching the Champions League. They grew up playing FIFA video games, studying European football, and dreaming bigger than previous American teams ever did. The fear is disappearing. When they play England, Brazil, or Germany now, they don't see untouchable legends. They see opponents. That belief is incredibly important in tournament football. Because World Cups are emotional. Sometimes the better team loses. Sometimes momentum matters more than history. And once a team starts believing, they become dangerous. Just look at Morocco in 2022. Nobody expected them to reach the semifinals. But they defended together, played with confidence, and shocked the world. The United States could follow a similar path in 2026. Of course, there are still weaknesses. The U.S. still lacks deep World Cup experience compared to traditional giants. That matters in pressure moments. Can they handle penalty shootouts? Can they stay calm in front of 80,000 fans? Can they defeat a true football superpower in a knockout game? Those questions remain unanswered. And defensively, the US still has areas to improve. Against elite attacking teams, mistakes can become fatal. That's why most experts still don't consider America a true favorite. But maybe that's actually an advantage. Because the US enters the tournament with less pressure than countries like Brazil, Argentina, or England. And dangerous underdogs are often the hardest teams to stop. There's also the growth of football culture in America itself. The sport is exploding. MLS attendance continues to grow. Youth participation is massive. European clubs are scouting American talent more aggressively every year. Then came one moment that changed global attention completely. Lionel Messi joining Inter Miami CF. Suddenly, the football world started paying closer attention to the United States. Kids across America are now growing up in a football environment that feels bigger and more important than ever before. That cultural shift matters, because football nations are built through generations. And America may finally be entering its football generation. Depth could also become a huge weapon for the US. World Cups are exhausting tournaments. Players get injured, fatigue builds, suspensions happen. Teams with strong squad depth survive longer. And this might be the deepest American squad ever assembled. The US now has players across Europe in multiple leagues. That gives coaches flexibility and competition for starting positions. In modern football, depth wins tournaments, especially late in matches when energy levels drop. Fresh legs can completely change game. The most important reason America could shock the world is this: football is changing globally. The gap between traditional powers and rising nations is smaller than ever. Smaller countries are becoming more organized. Tactical systems are improving everywhere. Talent development is becoming global. That means countries no longer need 100 years of football history to compete. They need structure, belief, athleticism, and elite development. The United States now has all four. Will America win the 2026 World Cup? Probably not. Teams like Argentina, France, Spain, and Brazil still have more experience and more proven world-class talent. But could the US make a deep run? Absolutely. A quarterfinal, a semifinal, maybe even something bigger. That no longer sounds impossible. And if it happens, the impact on football in America would be enormous. The sport would explode to another level overnight. More kids would dream of becoming footballers. More investment would arrive. More world-class talent would develop. 2026 could become the moment soccer truly changes forever in the United States. For years, the world underestimated American football. But this generation is faster, more skilled, more experienced, and more confident than any before it. They have home advantage. They have rising stars. And most importantly, they finally believe they belong. And sometimes, belief is the most dangerous weapon in football. Because every World Cup creates one unforgettable story. In 2026, that story might just be the United States.